things can look better, things can be better, but in order for that to happen, you have to become better. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, hey, the market hustle, helping you to succeed, teaching like nobody else. Financial empowerment, giving you strategies for generational wealth. So you can start helping yourself. More money for you to be getting. This the moment for you to be winning and be living financially independent.
Market Hustle community, welcome back to episode 35. It is so great to be back here. I have both our co-hosts, Pierce and Bafi, with me today, and this is the first episode of 2025. So real quick, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time with your family and friends, all the loved ones, and I hope that you have that energy. You know, you're ready to tackle this new year because I'm excited for 2025. I think it's going to be an incredible year. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, and hopefully everybody who is, taking the time to be intentional with how they're moving throughout the year has a lot of success. I think this community, the Market Hustle podcast, is something that I am really excited to really get heated up in 2025. One of the big milestones for this podcast specifically, 2024, we hit over 60,000 downloads. Super incredible. And it's all thankful to everybody who tunes in, continuing to share the podcast with their friends, their family, and spread the word of everything we're talking about on here. That being said, we have some great episodes lined up for this next season, this 2025 season. Lots of great guests will be coming on. We'll have some repeat guests from earlier seasons. So I'm not going to spoil the surprises yet, but I'm really excited to kick off this season. That being said, let's hear from our co-hosts, see how they are both doing. Bafi, why don't you start off, man? How's everything going in New Jersey? And Happy
Yeah,
New Year.
man. Happy New Year, everybody. And shout out to everyone that's with us during this podcast and listen to all our 34 episodes in 2024. Like Josh just mentioned, we got a lot lined up for you guys, man, and it only gets bigger and better. I'm doing great, man. It's been a good year. Enjoying the time in New Jersey quite a bit. Not so much in this past few days because it's been brutal. Like the weather's been cold. Probably the coldest it's been in a long time, maybe in a few years, I would say. So, windy, brutal. Didn't go outside today, but it's been a good start to the year. Very excited, looking forward to everything. And yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Good to hear from you. Pierce, how about you, man? How's everything going on your end?
It's going well, man. Kicked off the new year with a flood in my house, so I can't only go up from here. Other than that, life's great, dude. Just enjoying Southern California. Excited to be back. Excited for the future of the podcast.
Great to have you back, man. Today, we're just going to kind of kick it off with more of the 2025 vibes. We're going to keep it kind of just more so of like what we all have planned for our year, kind of share our goals, maybe do some reflection on what we've done, kind of what we accomplished in the past, like kind of how we saw 2024, maybe some of the challenges we've all experienced, some of the stuff we kind of overcame. And then we also want to make sure we leave some practical tips. If you haven't set 2025 goals yet, or maybe you have a couple and you're still trying to figure out other financial goals that you want to maneuver through this year, we're going to make sure we leave you a couple of tips, potential goals to set for yourself, different financial goals. So if you're still kind of figuring things out, it's still kind of early in the year and you're still trying to figure out what to kind of put on the goal list, we're going to help you break that down a little bit towards the middle and the end of the podcast. That being said, let's just jump right into it. We'll start with Bafi. I know, Bafi, you've been super busy this first week of January, but maybe share. Let's start with like sharing like a challenge you overcame in 2024. I think that would be like a valuable insight, like maybe a good lesson you learned last year.
Yeah, I think. What's a good one? I mean, there's plenty, man. Some of the challenges I did not overcome them. So, so we'll give it another go in 2025. But I would say one of the biggest challenges that I overcame, which I and like many people can probably relate, right? We tend to easily forget and ignore our health, and because we're so busy grinding, we're trying to reach our goals, we have dreams, we got aspirations, we want to enjoy life, we're working hard, but we forget to actually go to our doctor visits. So one of the biggest challenges that I've probably always had was making sure that I'm, getting like a full medical exam from head to toe, whether it's blood work, whether it's STDs, STI, cardio, vision, dental, right? Just blood work, everything, making sure that I'm in good health. So I was able to overcome that. I did that like the full blown thing. I did that like twice a year, middle of the year and at the end of the year. But quarterly, I made sure that I went to my dentist and make sure my teeth and oral hygiene was on point. So I'm really, really proud of myself for that because that's something that many of us don't do and we need to do it. And plus, if you have the health insurance, you're paying, you might as well use it at some point. Don't wait to get sick or close to, a fatal situation before you actually exercise that.
Makes sense, man. And the funny thing, like once you do take like even just exercising, like just getting that as a consistent habit in your life. One thing I've realized in 2024, like I did a lot more like walking and running, a lot more hiking. Like I was more mobile and active. And it really does something to just like the way, like just your mind, like clearing your thoughts and just helping you think through things better, like more efficiently. And I'm sure that, as well, like, we all have financial goals. We're all ambitious on the financial end of things. And a funny thing that happens is like when your mind's right, when you're exercising, taking care of your body, a funny thing what will happen is like it's gonna be easier for you to make money. Like it's gonna be easier to tackle those financial goals when you're also keeping your health in order. Because like I've had times in my life where I just haven't been as consistent with working out or even eating the right foods, and I even still periodically fall back into some of those bad habits occasionally. But during those moments, like when you do fall back in those bad habits, you really feel that increase, that extra pressure over your shoulders. It just makes everything more difficult, whether it's going through work, whether it's staying consistent with financial discipline. Like it really, like all these habits are pretty correlated in that sense. So there's a lot of power there. Taking care of your health, staying up to date on your blood work, Bafi. I love that. And just
So far, so
what's the
good.
purpose of wealth without the health?
Yeah, yeah, and well said. So far, so good. No health implications, no problems, no underlying issues. I'm like super healthy. My resting heart rate is like incredible, which means I've been managing and handling stress well. But Josh, I actually had a quick question for you as you were just kind of talking through some of your eating habits, right? Like, do you feel like it's gotten better or healthier over the years, or
Oh yeah. Yeah.
overall it's gotten much better, right?
Yeah, dude. When I was in like college, I ate like complete garbage. Like
Oh,
I
dude,
was
me
eating
too, man.
fast food all the time.
Chinese food
Like I was so
and
bad
like
with it,
Chinese food and like 5 cans of Sunkist. That was like my go-to every week. It was brutal, but it was so good though. It tastes good. I mean,
Well, plus like
a lot of bad things taste good actually.
yeah. Well, plus, like, I feel like when I was younger, I was still working while going to college full time. So, like, I just had my hands full. Like, trying to prepare food and get the right food was just not even on my mind. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go get fast food and make it easy. But obviously, like, now that I'm older, I'm really trying to be more intentional with, like, how I'm eating.
Yeah,
A lot more, like, I'm trying to lean more into the protein side of things. Like,
I see.
less carbs, less bread, and more protein. That's kind of the objective.
Yeah, that's smart. That's the way to go, man. I think when it comes to some of these habits and changes, and this goes for like goal setting and everything of that nature too, right? Because we often think we can do it just like that overnight. It's like you have to realize it takes time and you got to do it incrementally. The way I love food is scary. So, like, if somebody told me, hey, you shouldn't eat this or you can't eat this, it's like I'll go into depression mode. So, I have to wean off things like little by little. And over the years, thank God for my fiance. She's been amazing in helping me kind of adjust and have a better eating habit. So, hopefully, I can continue that in 2025.
Definitely, man. Pierce, how about you, my friend? What are some of the big challenges, or maybe just a challenge that you kind of overcame in 2024, or even just a big lesson, like just something that you really took away from the year?
Just being intentional with your life, with kind of everything that you do, is one thing that that I've done now that I'm shouldn't that I'm growing older. Like I'm gaining more knowledge about life and whatnot. I try to be more intentional with my time, who I surround myself with, like the food I digest and ingest, and all that type of stuff. So I got to say that's probably the biggest thing I've learned this year, is just to be intentional with what I do with my life, because time is the most precious thing.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I mean, what would you say? So I'm curious, like, just to hear, like, kind of what you've observed more too, like maybe around, like, as you've kind of maybe been more intentional with how you're spending your time. Maybe that's reading more, or hanging
Yeah,
out in different environments. Like,
absolutely.
what's something like you've kind of noticed as like a spillover effect with that?
Um, when you surround yourself with people you want to be like, you start gaining little things, you start talking the same, you start dressing the same, you start eating the same, you start thinking the same things as these people. And so I've been very blessed with the friend group I have this year. And so actually, most of them listen to this podcast, so they'll know who I'm talking about. But those
Shout out to them.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Those people are the ones who are kind of have changed my thought process on things and how to look at life as, as open-eyed. Because, I've usually just been very narrow vision, just what I see as reality. And my buddies have just been like, no, this is what reality is. And they've kind of opened my eyes to the world, and super blessed for them.
That's awesome, man. Pierce, remind, for the new listeners who are here listening to this episode first, by the way, if this is your first episode, make sure you go listen to the first one after this one. We have so many, we have 34 now. This is gonna be 35. But Pierce, why don't you let them know like how old you are? Because like I just want to get some context around like the different dynamics in the podcast.
Yeah, I'm 22 at the moment right now. I started getting into finance, I should say. I started getting, intrigued with it probably by 12 or 13. My dad would teach a financial class at the local church near us. And through that, my dad would teach me, little concepts that, he would teach a Dave Ramsey's class. So if anyone who's familiar with Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. So that's kind of how I got my introduction into the world of finance, how to save your money, how to pay off your debts, good credit, bad credit, and the more knowledge I grew, the more I love Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey, if you listen, don't take the hit, but in a lot of ways, he's very unrealistic. Like I love everything up until it comes to buying a house, because I live in Southern California. So to buy a house in cash in Southern California is very unrealistic. But that's kind of who I am now. Is just been learning about finance for probably consistently for the last 5 years of my life, just trying to absorb and read as many books and surround myself with people like Josh and Buffy who can teach me on a daily basis.
No, I love it, man. And it really just highlights how ahead of the game you are, which is why it's great to have you on this podcast, because you highlight what's intentional if you start early, but also the fact that, you've had these great resources, like your dad's helped transfer down the financial literacy, which is such an important aspect. And I think it's great for parents who maybe listen to this podcast to learn from, like just seeing how you have your dad has kind of helped you learn along his financial journey, and then that's just setting you up so much more ahead, right? Like you don't have to go through some of these mistakes because your dad has done things very thoughtfully by transferring down these important financial skills. So it's such a great testament for anybody who is interested in building that legacy, that financial legacy, to learn from Pierce, kind of how what he's learned and how he's kind of maneuvering, because he's still young, and he's although he has learned lots of wisdom, and there's
I don't know anything.
Yeah,
dude.
you're still absorbing it all.
That's it, dude.
Yeah.
The second you start thinking that you know something is when you end yourself, man. You always got to be adapting, consistently learning.
You got to remain a student, man. That's the goal. That's the goal for sure. Well, hey, that's great, guys. Great to have both you back. I'd say one of my challenges was kind of towards the end of the year, and it was more of like, my business is the Market Hustle, and back in October, the accounts got banned. Like my Instagram account got banned.
Oh yeah,
and
I remember that.
I was what the hell? Like I would say 80% of my like business, like 80% of my audience comes from Instagram. So like I just got that email and it was saying that my account was permanently banned, no way to overcome it. And luckily I was able to send out an email to like my entire audience, and I was able to get people who were able to help me like figure out how to like maneuver through this ban. And I got a bunch of good tips, and luckily it was the community itself, the Market Hustle community, that really kind of came in to help me figure out how to kind of get through this stuff, through that ban. And within 24 hours, my account was restored. And to me, man, it just really showed the power of community. Just like having the people, we sit here for hours. We have over 30 hours of podcast content, financial education content, but it was just really cool, like something special to see the community kind of helping rally around, that big issue. And, it was just really cool. And I would also say it really tested my resilience, like, just staying calm, like figuring out what can I control? How can we get this taken care of? Because in those moments, it's very easy, especially if it's your business. And if like 90% of your business impact comes from that place, it's very easy to get just completely blown away from that. So
That's insane, man. I'm trying to picture like just the mind frame that you was probably in when it happened initially. Like that, the first 10 minutes has to be like
dude,
insane
it
types
felt
of rush and just confusion and chaos. Because one thing not to be on social media by choice, right? And then it's another thing just to be like kind of outcast, kicked off, sent to the wilderness. and you can't even like connect or reach anybody. So it's good that there's much value of you've provided others. It seems like when it was, in your time of need and probably needed a little bit of help and guidance and direction, they also rallied and paid it forward and showed you that love, man. And that's some of the extra blessings that you get for, helping people improve their lives at no cost to their pocket on the regular. So when times like that come up, people are more happy to help you. Imagine if he was an asshole, right? Like if he was mean, he was disrespecting people online, everybody would be like, "Thank God he's gone." About damn time.
It's true, man. It's true. And I'm very thankful for this community. And to be honest with you, man, it just makes me want to go harder, like putting out more content. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's just build this as far as we can. And I mean, I'm really excited. Like we're gonna keep pushing out these podcasts as much as possible. And if anything, it's gonna be great to, next week or probably in a couple podcasts from now, we're going to have somebody from the podcast community itself, like one of our listeners. We're bringing them on. So like we want to bring more people on who are listening into the podcast onto the podcast to share their experiences, share their stories. Because my big philosophy is the best way to learn is from other people, like learning from their experiences, what they've done, how they've kind of overcome those experiences. So yeah, just a quick pitch. Like if anybody listening, if you're ever interested to come on the podcast, send me a DM at The Market Hustle. And if you have a story you want to share, let me know. We're always welcoming new guests, and we want to continue to ramp that up into 2025. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and we definitely want to get to know everyone too. You know what I mean? If you have the flexibility and you want to get on, feel free to definitely reach out, like Josh said, because is we learn as much as you guys are learning when you're listening to the podcast, and so the more we can hear about your stories, the better it is, right?
100%, man. That being said, let's dive into the next question. And that is, what are some of your guys' 2025 goals? Like, what do you have kind of on the radar? We talked over something we've kind of overcome in 2024. Maybe you can kind of tie into also what you're proud of in 2024, like what you achieved, and then also what you want to build on in addition to whatever you've achieved into 2025. So like, what success do you want to build on into 2025? Is there any like different ways you're kind of thinking through maybe the finance world or investing or just your life goals in general? I don't know, let's start with Buffy. Buffy, you're always fun to start with.
Cool. All right, let's do it. So, I think one of the things I'm really proud of the effort, and it didn't happen just in 2024. It's more like a rolling year over year type of thing. But I think my 401k have finally reached a place where even with minimum contribution or maybe no contribution at all, in the long run, by the time I reach retirement age, I will have enough to kind of really live a decent, comfortable life and not have to stress too much. And then, again, some people think that you need to have $1 million, 5 million, 10 million in order to be able to retire or live a certain type of life. But keep in mind, the planet is big. US is not the only place you're forced to live in. You have options, right? And fortunately for us, our currency goes a long way in other places too. So, just always remain open-minded. You just never know where you might end up, and you might really love it as well. So that's something I was really, really excited about, and huge progress made there. And rolling into 2025 a little bit, in terms of that same theme, I would say because the 401k is at a certain point, I don't really have to be as aggressive as I've been in the past, right? And so I can kind of, you know, take my foot off the gas a little bit. I still want to get my match. I still want to have my tax advantages there, right? But I don't have to contribute as aggressive, and so I can utilize a little bit more cash on hand, do other things, or deploy those resources in other ways and in more meaningful ways that I think is more beneficial at the moment. So I think that's one of the things I'm really, really excited and proud about. I come from humble beginnings, right? And that's actually been like a superpower in motivating me to live a better life. So someone would say that that's a disadvantage, which it is, because at the end of the day, just the struggle is the struggle. People are dealing with a lot right now as well, right? But you will come to find out that many successful families and people somewhere in their lineage also came from humble beginnings or things were difficult at some point, right? And so it serves and shows that it's all possible, and it's just going to require some work and some effort and being intentional and deliberate about constantly learning. So I think that's something that I'm really, really proud of. And I hope anybody that's listening to this episode or have listened to other episodes, I hope, some of the stuff that we cover and us being transparent and vulnerable rubs off on you and helps you improve your life as well. So you can make an impact in however you see fit.
I love that, man. I love that. Especially that last part. somebody has to make a sacrifice, you know, to get to those higher levels.
Yeah, it's
And,
a
you
price.
know, that's, yeah, there's a price to pay. And ultimately, like maybe your family, you know, maybe you come from a family where it's like, it's been a little bit more difficult, like myself, like my family didn't have a bunch of financial resources, but why not, you know, why not make yourself the one? Like, why don't you be the one to make sacrifices? Like, that's kind of the job, the title that I've taken on. It's like, all right, you know,
Exactly.
I'm going to be the one that changes things. You know, why, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It's not easy to do, but it's like, it's also not easy to like not do anything and,
Oh, absolutely, man.
you know,
Absolutely. And
continue
I'm
to
gonna touch
struggle.
on, yeah, and I'm gonna touch on just a few other areas because I tend to have a plan, but not just financial plans alone. There's our life is bigger than money. There's more
Yep.
things going on. So, in terms of my business, Black Tycoon Talk LLC, it's still I have the same goal as from last year. I have a really minimum approach to it right now. I'm just like the chill guy right now. Nothing too crazy. And then I'm just mainly focused on YouTube content. Whenever I have the opportunity to put something out, I will. And then moving on in terms of career, really excited. I recently got promoted and took on a new role. So I'm working with our leadership team, our directors, executive directors, VP really closely. So just kind of really getting established in that role and do a good job. And then also keep the network going strong. Also have some travel goals, man. The first one on the list this year is Dubai. Yeah, Habibi, you got to come to Dubai, man. I've never been to Dubai. This is going to be my first time. And a good colleague of mine is actually living in Dubai now, too. So it'll be good to kind of visit him and see what's going on that side of the world, learn about the culture, the food, the people, the vision that they have for that place, because they're definitely living in the future. It is insane over there. So I want to kind of get a tangible feel for that experience. I might be back in South Africa again. That's another fun one that I'm looking forward to. And then in terms of travel experiences, I tend to always go to like different countries and different states, but this time around, I want to really try and enjoy New Jersey and New York like fully. Do a lot of different local activities, not just places to eat or places to just hang out and party, but like just do activities. You know what I mean? Like just get out there and kind of take it all in. And then relationship wise, just keep in touch with loved ones. I know we all get busy. It's a lot on everybody's plate. Sometimes when you get a little bit of time, you want to rest, you want to relax. But it's important to keep in touch with loved ones because, our relationships really are top two, if not one of the most important things that we all have and share. Right. And then quality experiences, financials, I touched on that a little bit. Hoping to kind of get a pay raise in this year for sure. That's something I'm really working hard and gunning towards. Have a few investment accounts. I'm trying to get them to a certain position. They're in good position. They're not bad because last year was very successful. Anybody that's been investing, kudos to you because you're probably 24 to 26% richer than you were at the beginning of last year. So that's awesome. And then health wise, try to get a good workout routine 2 to 3 times a week. Yoga, dude, I'm actually killing it in that area right now. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, everybody kind of starts off the year strong, so maybe I'm tooting my own horns a little bit, but I've gone 9 days, no alcohol, and I don't drink a lot. I only drink occasionally when I go out. But my goal is to not drink at all until I go to Dubai. So I got what 5 months to go, give and take. So we'll see how that goes. And then working out consistently, I've been on point with that. Like I feel great. My energy's on point. I'm resting. I'm stronger. I feel fit. I feel like I feel really, really excited about life right now. And then yoga, I've been doing yoga twice a day. So like morning when I wake up and then at night before I go to sleep. Guys, I don't know how old everybody is that's listening, but once you turn 30, oh, it goes downhill, man. The check engine light is on. You need WD-40. I mean, it's over from that point. So make sure you're stretching. So health wise, that's kind of the priority at the moment. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's my 2025 goals.
Good to know, Bafi. I turned 30 later this year, so
Oh
I'll keep
yeah,
that in
yeah,
mind.
yeah. Get ready. You might need life alert, man.
Yeah. Great stuff, though. Great stuff, Bafi. Pierce, how about you, my friend? Why don't you tell us some of your 2024, maybe some lessons or some of the wins, and then kind of what you want to build onto or kind of lean into moving into 2025.
The one thing I want to start with that I want to lean into for 2025 is not to turn 30 anytime soon. Um, besides
Smart.
besides that, no, I mean 2024 was a big transitional year for my family in whole. We had some family experiences going on, and so it kind of changed my whole family dynamic. So it it was just it was an interesting year, but at the end of the day, I had to realize that I'm only one person and I can only do so much. And I still stuck to my goals and achieve them. I mean, because I try to set my goals high enough that I make them realistic, but I also want to be able to kind of reach in the stars a little bit like everyone does. But the biggest thing for me was that finance wise, I had a certain amount of shares in VU. And so that was one of my big goals, was trying to have a certain amount of shares of VU. And I hit it 9 months into the year. So I'm
Nice.
pretty happy about that. So this year, trying to get another certain amount of shares into VU and keep on doing that. And really, but other than that, I mean, grow closer, grow closer in faith. Probably that's one of the big things. I've always been pretty active, and I want to stay healthy. But I mean, I'm 22. What the hell can be wrong with me so far? But just try, another thing, I'm trying to hit a target weight. I've always been pretty skinny my entire life, but I'm trying to hit a target weight. And so for those people who lose weight, I don't know what it's like to lose weight, but oh my gosh, I could tell you it's hard to gain weight. Dude, I had a whole kava bowl for dinner tonight. I swear I ate like 2.5 pounds of food, and it better stick to my bones, dude.
Dude, kava is so good. Oh my
Dude, I
god,
loved it.
that's
Shout out
amazing.
kava if you guys want to sponsor.
I've never tried it. I gotta try it.
And probably some personal development, dude. I've been trying to read a lot more books on just how to be, just life in general. Obviously, some finance books and stuff like that, but what to expect in life, how to deal with situations, because every situation is different in life, and your perspective on things is kind of what dictates on what you think about it. So just trying to change my perspective, and like Josh said before this, always remaining a student and just consistently learning. But
I
I'm
love it,
excited
man.
for 2025, man. I mean, for the podcast, for the market hustle, for everybody, personal ventures this year, it's going to be super good.
Or Boffy's traveling to Dubai.
Dude, Tycoon Travel is going to be insane this year.
Man, it's gonna be crazy, man. It gets better and better every year, and best believe I'm when I'm there, I'm from Dubai. I'm not American. I'm not from Ghana. No, I'm from Dubai.
That's right.
I'm in there. I'm in the deserts. I'm in the places they hang out at, the things that they do, the culture. I'm taking it all the way in, every single thing. I can't wait for everyone else to see and experience it via videos as well.
It's going to be awesome, man.
That's the way to do it. Pierce, I'm also curious though. So I know, you're still newish to the investing dynamics. Like
Oh,
you've been
yeah.
kind of using your own portfolio, or like kind of more in control of part of your portfolio. So like how was 2024 overall? Like I know we had some volatility in like August. Like there were some moments of,
Oh, yeah.
panic and
Oh,
fear in the market. Like I'm curious to get your
oh
take on all
I'd,
that.
I'd love to share. I'm actually going to log in right now. But for everybody who doesn't know, there'd be a couple of days that I'd look at my portfolio and I'm down a very substantial amount of money, to me at least, a very substantial amount of money. And I text Josh and Buffy and I'd say, I think I'm done with this. This is not fun anymore. But then it would be those times that I log into my portfolio and I look at it and I say, oh my gosh, like that's absolutely insane. I mean, there's days you're up 4%, there's days you're down 6%, there's months you're down 9%. And then the thing is year to date, I think I was up like somewhere in 22% or something like that. And so for me, it was pretty good. I mean, it just showed the volatility of the market, and I'm at the point in my investing career to where I can start looking at my portfolio for the last I think this year is actually going to have 5 years, but I can start looking at my portfolio and I can say, okay, this is what compound interest does.
You're
And
actually
so,
seeing it now, kind of. You're feeling the impact. Yeah.
for a newer investor, for everyone who's new to investing, that is probably the coolest freaking thing that you can ever look at. And you say, I didn't do shit for that. Or, sorry, I didn't do anything for that month. I did absolutely nothing. And now that you're able to see that it goes from like this to this, for you doing nothing, just having your money invested is so cool. It's like, for me, I like going out to dinners, like Boffy going to travel. I'm like, that's a full Europe trip. That's a Europe trip for 3 months right there. Like, that's insane to me. So, I mean, it's been pretty cool to really just dip, not just dip my toe in, but kind of jump in head first for this whole year, like starting in 2025. That's kind of what I'm going to do. Is I'm trying to take more accountability with my entire portfolio rather than having a financial manager manage all my stuff. So that's kind of my big goal this year, is to trying to kind of transition every couple of months to having more money in my personal account for my investment and see kind of how it does there. But yeah, it's been an awesome year, dude.
That's incredible, man. And it really highlights just how much you've learned, over the years that you've been really diving in. And, you know, you could have just not took it any time to learn any of this stuff. Like a lot of people your age don't. I mean, I'm not much older than you, 29, but still, like a lot of people in their 20s don't ever really think about money in general. So yeah, I mean, it's really a testament to the time that you're investing in your skills to like learn the different market dynamics. And then now you're able, like now that you've actually experienced, like ultimately you've gained a lot of experience. And now that you have that experience, you're able to take more control of your finances, maybe kind of sway away from the financial advisor a little bit and take more control, kind of, cut out some of the fees they're eating into and, kind of keep that more for yourself. And it's really just a testament to the mindset that you've developed. And Pierce, it's really great to have you on this podcast because it's like for me and Bafi, maybe you can add to this. Like it's pretty clear like how much you've kind of grown as an investor, from when we first started doing these podcasts a little over a year ago. So it's really kind of cool to see somebody like yourself really kind of take things seriously, ask the right questions, be engaged. You're on almost every podcast. So like naturally you're learning a lot on these podcasts, like when we have these great guests. So it's really cool to have you here. Just seeing all that growth in real time is awesome.
No, it's true. I think Pierce kind of reminds us of our younger selves a little bit, right? Like in terms of just that having that curiosity, a pretty good head on his shoulders, well balanced, not running around getting a bunch of trouble and
Uh-huh.
mistreating people and not valuing life. I think it's really awesome to see it. And plus, the guy he's 22, 23, young guy, right? Like of course he enjoyed the same stuff that every other young person enjoys, you know what I mean? So it just goes
Trust
to
that.
show
Yeah,
you that
absolutely.
it just goes to show you that there's balance. You can still be light and have fun and still build, especially if you're young or old. It doesn't matter. So it has been nice to kind of witness the growth over the years, over time, and just seeing how much more seasoned and mature as an investor you've become. It's cool, and that's why you're reaping the benefits of that.
I appreciate it. The one thing that I want to kind of give credit to is probably 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was listening to a Bigger Pockets podcast, and it was with Mindy Jensen and Scott Trench, and they mentioned the FIRE movement, and she was like financially independent, retire early. And for where she lives in Colorado, if she still lives there, I haven't listened to the podcast in a minute, but it's a big community of these people who are retired early because they were diligent with their money, their time, their investments, so on and so forth. And for me, it was just, I wanted to give myself the option to say no in life to things that otherwise I wouldn't if I if I had to, if I didn't have the resources that I do have now. At work currently, my boss is like, oh, you want more hours? I'm like, absolutely not, dude. I'm gonna go home and hang out with the boys. Like, and I'm very blessed to have that luxury, but it's because I've been diligent with my time. And even at my age, there is still some sacrifice. Maybe it's not as crucial as when I have a family later on and stuff, but I have to pick and choose when I go out to dinner. I have to pick and choose if I want to buy that pair of shoes. And it's not that, that one purchase is going to hurt me, but it's consistently doing those little things over time, buying that $100 pair of shoes, going out to dinner and it costs $20. It's the consistently doing those things over time that have, and me saying no to them, that I think is really what's credited to the position that I'm at. And I think that everyone who starts, even, no matter what age you are, it's just, you got to learn to say no to certain things. And that's one thing that I've accepted is I can, just say no.
I love that, Ben. And I think it really just comes down to like protecting your financial resources, which is basically what you're saying is, there's so many things out there trying to take your money. Like there's a lot of marketing money, billions of dollars that are spent every year trying to persuade you to buy different products. And, of course, it's not to say like, don't ever buy anything, don't buy any products. Like, of course, let's be practical. Like the whole reason we're getting our money situation in order is so that we can enjoy a higher quality life. But at the same time, especially in the early stages, like you do have to kind of get more, you have to get in more control of your financial resources and protect those because the financial resources you can protect, maybe it's only, $20 here, $20 there, you save, $40, and then maybe next month you save another $100. Like that's still like $140 over a couple of months that you can use to invest in skills. Like maybe you buy some books, buy a couple books that can sharpen your perspective and sharpen your understanding of how to kind of maneuver through things a lot better, a lot more smoothly. Or, maybe it's something different where like you save up like $1,000 over the course of a year to start an online business. Like maybe you want to start some sort of e-commerce business or something. Like the more you protect your financial resources, the more you're going to be able to invest those resources in areas that really develop and grow not only your finances, but just your life in general. So I love that, Pierce. That's great stuff. I would say for myself, one thing with 2024 is I feel like I did a pretty good job with balancing the life and work parts. I mean, I definitely worked a lot, but I was still able to make a trip to California, which is something I've been trying to do for a bit to see my grandparents. I haven't seen them for over 3 years. So my grandpa just turned, I think he's 82 now. So his birthday was yesterday. But it was really nice to kind of see them all, see my grandparents, see my aunts and my cousins, because I haven't been out there for, over 3 years. And that's been a trip that's been on kind of my list to go do. So like, I'm really glad I was able to get that in the lineup for 2024. I meant to do like I kind of tentatively set a international travel trip for 2024, but that did not happen, unfortunately. But the good news is I am planning a Tokyo trip for the springtime for 2025, and I definitely want to make that happen because I've been wanting to go to Tokyo for a while.
Big.
Yeah. But other than that, man, I mean, my real objective for 2025 is, continuing to invest aggressively, not only in the stock markets, but also in my own business. Like the Market Hustle. I really want to build this business out more. We want to make more podcasts, have more guests on here. And I would say really just build more systems in the Market Hustle business, just get even more organized. Like what I'm realizing as I go throughout my business experience is like you hit a level and you think you're at like the high level. And then you start to realize that there's a whole nother level above you. So I really just want to kind of continue to advance and grow things on the Market Hustle side of things in a more intentional way. So like that's a goal of mine for 2025, as well as I want to try mountain biking, in the Pacific Northwest in the summer. There's some great spots out here. I have a couple of friends out here who kind of do it. So I'm going to add that to the list in the summer. But yeah, just continuing to, my big philosophy I think with the Market Hustle in general, like even this podcast is like we're big fans of like not only like attacking our goals aggressively, like of course we want to be ambitious and we want to set high goals for ourselves and really fulfill those goals. But at the same time, like I don't think you have to sacrifice enjoying a little bit of life now as well. Like you could do both. It doesn't have to be aggressively only do the business things to the point where you're working 24/7 and you just don't enjoy it at all. Like if you play your cards right and you become more strategic with your time, I'm a big advocate that you can do both, be ambitious with your business, investing, your work, and still enjoy the finer things in life, whether it's even just having time with your family, like spending a couple of hours a week, like intentionally setting aside those couple of hours to have those deeper connections with the people you love. Like that's what this podcast really wants to try to highlight is more of those nuances, is it doesn't have to be, grind hustle 24/7. I would argue the best hustle is getting yourself to a position where you can both enjoy life and still aggressively hit your goals. Like that's the ultimate hustle. And that's really what we're about.
Tough. I agree, man. I actually got two quick questions for you, Josh. Why Tokyo?
Tokyo, man, I would really say it's just a beautiful country. Like I've always kind of, I've seen it in movies and stuff like that. And I was just like, when I was thinking like, what's the one international country I want to go to? Like Tokyo just really kind of stood out to me because I've seen so many movies on it and it just looks beautiful. And I think what I want to try to do is, I don't know how it is snowboarding wise in the springtime, but I've always had like this dream of like being able to like snowboard in Tokyo somewhere. So we'll kind of see if that can actually happen because I'm not sure if there's still going to be snow in the springtime. But really, I think it's just a completely different culture as well. And I really want to experience that. And I've had a lot of people, especially here in Seattle, who have, they went to Tokyo. One of my buddies went to Tokyo last year and he just told me how much fun it was and how he really liked the food. I don't know if I like the food, but we'll see. Like I'm always open to just trying new things out. So like it seems like that, one of those places where it's just going to be a completely different experience for me. And I'm really excited for that.
Nah, that's cool, man. That's shout out Tokyo, man. Because my brother lived believe it or not, my brother lived in Japan for 5 years. Shout out to my brother Fareed. He lived there for 5 years because he's in the Navy, and I'm not sure if he was in Tokyo at all, but I'll definitely ask him and see if there are any things that you should like kind of be on the lookout for, something you definitely want to check out, try to do, activities or events, or like food that he thought it was pretty decent or something like that. But he loved it when he was there. I mean, the culture, he's like the culture is just incredible, you know, and the way they it's like they live in the future. That's one, right? They just have some cool, like so many little cool gadgets and cool things going on that we don't have, obviously. And then he's like, the cuisine is phenomenal too. There's so many options and different types of things that you can eat. And then just the politeness, the way they kind of treat each other, and how clean the entire environment is. Like everybody picks up after themselves. You don't see stuff just all over the place, bottles or cans of water and a bunch of different wrappers and stuff just laying all over the place. So that's nice. So hopefully it's still like that. Hopefully it continues, and hopefully we all learn something from your trip when you come back.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely let me know what he says, just because I could use the recommendations,
For
as well as
sure.
everybody listening. Like, if you have any recommendations for Tokyo or what to visit, let me know. Send
Gotcha.
me a DM.
Yep. Obviously, you certainly have some experience in the entrepreneurial space, right? You've been doing it for quite a while. And many people are, especially now these days, with access of having the social media space, being able to kind of be empowered to do their own thing, get their business ideas out. How do you kind of manage and juggle all of it, right? Because that's something that maybe somebody might be starting their content creation journey this year as one of their goals, or they're passionate about something and they want to kind of do it on a bigger scale and share it, right? What are some quick tips that helps you manage everything and keep you going?
It's a constant challenge, man. Like, I think unless you're like operating in the social media space or even just in the digital world in general, it's easy to kind of assume that, it's there's not much work that goes into it, but there's a lot of work that goes into content creation. Not only that, just like managing, like trying to help people, like when they reach out to you in the DMs, like trying to give them the right resources and whatnot. Like it takes a lot of time, especially this podcast. Like this podcast probably takes, I'd say each episode probably takes like 4 to 5 hours to like actually get it published and like after we're done recording. So like there's a lot of time and effort that goes into every little piece of the business. And I would say really what helps is kind of like it's similar to like your finances, right? Like what helps get you better with money, and it's a budget, right? I would say the same thing with your business is more of like budgeting your time. It's like that's what I'm trying to, it's a constant thing that I'm improving. Like but you really have to just get intentional with like every minute that you're spending, every hour, kind of like how you're like what task you're working on, whether it's content creation itself, whether it's interactions with your community, whether it's product development on the back end of things, whether it's like networking with other creators. Like there's a lot of different avenues that that I'm constantly in. And so, yeah, I would say it comes down to building like your own systems, like having a plan for what you're going to attack each business day. It's like throughout the week. And I would say even more importantly is I enjoy working to an extent. So like I can get to a point where maybe I start to overwork myself, and then it kind of leads to an inevitable burnout if I'm not careful. So
Yeah.
what's even more important that I've found has been working really well, especially in 2024, is intentionally scheduling me to do more with less time. And by
That's
that,
smart.
what I do is like instead of like giving myself like 3 days to do a project, and it's kind of like more loose. It's like, hey, I'll kind of get the rest of the, these couple days to kind of do this project. It's like, no, I'm gonna have these 3 hour blocks. Like I'm gonna have 3 hours on Monday and then 3 hours on Tuesday. That's all I'm giving it to it. Like that's the only time. Like I'm kind of adding these constraints, and that really helps kind of focus my energy, and kind of minimize the idle time or the distractions. So ultimately, yeah, I would say it's kind of similar to like the financial side where it's like, the best way to get better with your money is just start actively tracking it and paying attention. And I would say with the business side, at least with what I've experienced so far, is just doing that, but with your time, like finding out the high value tasks, like the tasks that really move the needle and doubling down on those, and then getting rid of the tasks that just aren't really moving things as much forward.
Hmm.
Because, unfortunately, we're limited on time. Like we can't just clone ourselves, at least not yet. Maybe with AI we will in the future. But you have to kind of get more intentional with your time, especially with me. Like I believe in the philosophy of like enjoying life and building things and working hard and building towards your ambitious goals. So you have to like what I've done is I have to intentionally schedule time to go and travel. Like schedule time where I try to avoid to not do work at all. And the funny thing is like those moments of time when I'm scheduling not to work are when I get a lot of actually good insights, when I'm just kind of like in the moment, like just enjoying time with people, like just things will kind of come to me like of problems I was dealing with in my business. So like that's actually been pretty fascinating as well.
Tough. That's fire, man. Hopefully anybody that's listening, and you're starting something or you're in the middle of it, hopefully you can learn a thing or two to just help you manage your time better, manage how to execute, right? Because honestly, 2025 is really a year of high impact activity and like high impact and being intentional with what we give our energy and time and resources to, you know? So it's really, really exciting to kind of see how you manage all the things you got going on and the impact that you're having with your platforms. It's really cool.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I think a lot of it also comes down to just controlling the inputs. So like we can control only like we can't control everything. We can't control how the stock market acts tomorrow. We can't control how the stock market acts next week, but we can control how much money we're consistently investing. That's the input. Like we can control the inputs like of putting money in the market. And I think the same applies with like how I've been trying to approach my business is like I can't control the external things that are going on in my business, but I can control continuing to put out content or continuing to build out products or whatever it is. Like that's where my energy goes because ultimately my thing is like the external results are going to come if you focus on the inputs. And yeah, whether that's investing in the stock market or building your own business, if you just focus on building those bricks, like that brick layer of the wall, like brick by brick, just focus on that, the masterpiece is going to be built by itself over time.
Well said. Well said.
But yeah, man, it's been I'm pretty pumped for this year. I can't wait to really tackle 2025. But you know, as promised to our lovely listeners, why don't we give them some good insights or maybe some objectives for themselves to set to really tackle their own financial goals? It's like a lot of people listening to this podcast, odds are they are working on improving to build better money habits, maybe invest more consistently, maybe invest for the first time. What would you guys, you know, let's kind of go through maybe one or two things that you would say are some potential goals that they could set or objectives to build better financial habits moving into 2025. Because I'm sure a lot of people like, you know, we're about midway into January now, close to midway. So maybe some people haven't set those tangible goals yet, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to kind of tackle first. Or, you know, they're looking at their financial situation right now and they're a little overwhelmed with everything kind of going on. What are some tips or goals or just objectives that you would give them to kind of focus on moving forward in 2025?
Uh, one of them, Bob, you want to do like one and one? I'll do one, you do one.
Yeah, yeah, we'll fire it off.
For one, pay down your credit card debts. I think that's a super important one. Credit's never been higher. I mean, I don't know what it is right now. It's like over $1 trillion or something like that. That credit card companies are receiving. People owe $1 trillion. So I'd say probably pay down your credit card debts. I think that's probably one of the big ones because I know most people have credit card debt. So it's just trying to pay that down. That's probably the first one I'll say. It's credit cards.
Get rid of those credit cards, man. They're not serving you anything.
Yeah, get them out of here. Cool. So I would say one of the financial goals you can have in place, and again, you know, you want to make it digestible, simple, easy to really obtain. Save $25 per week, right? That's $100 a month. You know, you can start there. Obviously, if you can do more, hey, kudos to you. Go ahead and do more, right? But save $100 a month in a high yield savings account. If you're already in a good spot with savings and that's not really like a top priority at the moment, and you feel like investing is where you're at now, then put that $100 in a brokerage account, you know. And there are ways to kind of make sure you're keeping track of things. You know, you have budgeting apps like Mint, Market Hustle. Josh has a budget template and a bunch of other resources for you. I have one as well. And in fact, in our Discord community, you know, the members have access to these budget tools for free as well, you know. So you want to make sure you have something simple, easy to do. If it feels like work and it feels like a headache, you're not going to do it because nobody wants to have to, you know, be tedious about something like that every single day, and it just gets too much. So keep it simple. $100 a month, save that or invest that. If you can do more, go ahead. That's it.
I love that, man. I love that. I guess I'll throw one too, and then we'll just kind of go back again, Pierce, after that. Um, I'll say like an easy win to set up your financial system. If you haven't done it already, open up a Roth IRA account. And this is a great way to take advantage of a massive tax benefit because, you know, with these Roth IRA accounts, keep in mind, they're just accounts. They're just special retirement accounts, but everything you invest within that account. So if you buy Nvidia, if you buy Tesla, if you buy a share of VOO, whatever it is, QQQ, as that stock or all of your stocks grow within that account, all of that profit that you earn is not going to be taxed a single dollar to the IRS. So like you literally can kind of escape the tax of the IRS by having money invested in that Roth IRA account. And it's such a powerful and underutilized tool in the world. Like I think people kind of look at it and they kind of, when you hear the word Roth IRA, you're like, what the hell is that? But ultimately, like it's such a powerful wealth building tool because you kind of bypass being taxed on all the money that grows within that account. And if you know anything about compound interest, over, the next 10, 15, 20 years, like if you got money grown in that account for 10, 20, even 30 years, it's going to grow to a pretty nice amount. And all of it is going to be 100% tax free. So if you haven't taken the time, first off, learn what a Roth IRA is, because there are some, because it's so great, because there's a great tax benefit, the government does have some limits on that. They don't want people putting all of their money into a Roth IRA account. So take the time first to learn about it. And then second, if you haven't already, make sure you open one up and take advantage of it because it's a powerful tool.
That's a good one. The next one I think I only did last year was automate my investments. I mean, so most people are used to automating their bills and stuff like that. Your phone bill gets paid every month. You don't even see it. My dad's old school. This guy sits down every single month. It's a checkbook and, oh, they're charging us $45 more for gas this month. It's like, yeah, dude, because it's been cold. But automating your investments, I think, is a super, super slept on thing that, right as you get paid every Friday, you set a certain amount of money going straight towards investment accounts or, a savings account, high yield, whatever you want to do. But that's one thing that I think kind of benefited me last year because it's like before I even woke up, I didn't even see the money. The money's already, it's already set into the investment account. So that's one thing that I think other people could benefit from is just automating your investments, because if you see the money, you're more prone to spend it. But if it's already gone by the time you wake up, it's just gonna be a lot easier.
I like that. Spot on, spot on. Keeping the theme going, I would say increase your income, right? Cost of living is up. Rent and houses are insane right now. I mean, the shoe box costs you $1 million. So, you want to increase your income. And keep in mind, these companies are not hiring as much as they used to during the onset of the pandemic, right? And then now they're focused on leveraging a lot of tools, productivity tools, resources, right? We have AI in play now. We have automation. We have robotics, all these different systems and stuff like that. So they're trying to always maximize profits, keep their earnings strong, look at their margins. And so I urge you to kind of take a similar approach in your personal finance because that's the reason why these businesses are successful, right? Because that model works. So increase your income because life is more expensive now than ever. And we speak about hard work, which is important, but working smart is just as powerful, if not more powerful. So if you can earn more by doing less, right? By less output, meaning maybe you've learned a skill or you've gotten a certificate or you've, improved on certain skills that are in demand that you can now earn more without having to use as much manpower, right? Or as much energy. You want to definitely capitalize on that. And if you haven't, that's something you're interested in, make sure you do some homework, do some research on that because especially now there are ways you can increase your income than maybe 10 years ago, even 20 years ago, and look at what these companies are hiring for. Look at the type of skill sets they're looking for. Align with that and get your piece of the pie, man.
I think a good way to kind of tie it all together would be to make it a habit to like at least once a month, just print out the previous month of your bank statements and just look over where your money's going. Like this simple habit of just bringing awareness to where all of your dollars are going is just it's really gonna first off be eye-opening, but it's also going to help you identify areas where like, hey, I keep spending $50 at IHOP every Sunday. Like maybe we can make some food at home, for, $15 or whatever, and then save that. And that's just extra financial resources that I have to deploy at other areas. It just brings awareness to like seeing the actual dollars leaving your accounts. Because I'll tell you this, in 2025, especially, we have Apple Pay, we have Google Pay, credit cards, all this good stuff that it gets to a point where you don't even really see the money leaving your account. And it can kind of feel more abstract compared to when you take the time to just, at the very least, just print out the previous month of your bank statements, or even just looking on your phone, like actually set aside like a couple of hours every month at least, at the minimum. It's pretty simple. And just looking it over, just seeing, getting a high level view of where all of your dollars are going. Maybe looking for those subscriptions that are still charging you every month that you don't really use anymore. There's a potential opportunity there to kind of cut that out. I think this really aligns well with the increase in your income because, yeah, of course, we want to increase our income as high as possible. But at the same time, if you're also not having the discipline of, financial discipline of keeping the money that you're making, you're going to kind of end up on this spiral path where you're just continuing to make more money because you're spending more money. Then you have to go make more money because you're spending money. It's just this endless spiral effect. And it's the reason why a lot of high income earners, whether they're doctors or lawyers or even business executives, end up in financial messes is because, like, yeah, maybe they're making a lot of money, but if they haven't really taken the time to, build a plan under the hood of their financial situation, then it's very easy for that money just to vanish and disappear. So that's what I would add to kind of help connect it together.
Perfectly said.
But man, yeah, I will say, I'm really pumped for this year specifically. I think with the podcast guests we have lined up, it's going to be an incredible year. We're going to have a lot more guest episodes compared to the previous season. So for me, it's fun to just not only bring on different perspectives, but me, Boffy, and Pierce all get to learn as well, like asking questions and just learning from different people around the finance space. I guess before we officially wrap things up, Boffy or Pierce, is there anything that you would like to kind of leave our lovely listeners? Maybe one last comment or message for them as they enter into this 2025 year?
For sure. Hey, happy New Year, everybody. Understand that, the rest of the year is not written. Each day you get to write whatever story you want your book to tell. You get to put your imprint on life and you get to make choices, right? And so be empowered and embrace that and know that, things can look better, things can be better, but in order for that to happen, you have to become better. There's no other way around it, right? So I hope everybody's optimistic about the year. I hope you're excited for some of the opportunities that you will have. And I hope you kind of maintain or keep that energy throughout the year because there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be ebbs and flows, right? But it's really important to make sure that you do lift your spirits and hang around people that are, that are going to make sure you feel good about life and that are going to sometimes, bring you a reality check in terms of, hey, snap out of it. You know what I mean? Look how far you've come already. Yeah, it might not look perfect. It might not, you might have a little setback or maybe a big setback. Who knows? But you need people around you that are going to help you and keep your energy up. So I'll say just be the chill guy, take life as it comes, have fun, have fun. There's no point in doing everything and sacrificing everything if you're actually not able to have fun along the way. So have fun. And then lastly, I would say give back. Find a way, whether it's 30 minutes a month or an hour a month, to volunteer somewhere. Give back to the next generation. Give back to those that are less fortunate, whether you volunteer at a hospital, at a food bank. Read to these kids in school because they got iPads now and they just watch YouTube and they can't read. So, you know, you can give back in various forms. So don't forget, you don't have to have a lot of money and a lot of time to make a difference in other people's lives.
That's awesome, man. You can the last thing I'd say is probably read more. I mean, for those who can read and are not on iPads all day, I'd say read more. I mean, whether it's about self-help, financials, whatever you want to learn, but I'd say read more. That's probably that's a big thing that's like understated nowadays because we're all consumed with social media and technology and stuff, but open up a book, sit down for 20 minutes a day, whatever you can do, just read a couple of pages. It's just going to get your mind off of things and put you in a different mindset.
Love it, man. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of power in the reading part just because of how much it expands like your own perspective and the way you kind of see things. So even taking like 30 minutes a day to just read some book of a topic that you're interested in, whether if you're interested in investing, the stock market, like there's so many different books out there that you can read, spending 30 minutes a day, it's only going to help you. It's only going to sharpen your financial awareness. So definitely take advantage of that. As well as now this is making episode 35. We have 35 episodes throughout the Market Hustle podcast, over probably around 32 hours of financial education episodes. So you have a great resource at your fingertips to take advantage of as well. So like go back, listen to some of those podcasts. We have several that expand on or talk over so many different topics with several different guests, people from various different perspectives. And the great news is we're going to be bringing you many, many, many more of these. And we're really excited for all of this. Bhafi and Pierce, it's been a great time, great session. Really kind of cool to get this thing kicking back again. 2025, we're rolling in hot. Thank you everybody for listening. Could you do me a favor? Spend a couple of minutes to review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you're on. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcast, leave us a quick review, 5-star review. It helps push the podcast out into the podcast universe and helps spread the word to get more people in the community. That being said, Happy New Year. We'll be back next week for another amazing episode, and have a great rest of your nights. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
If you feel just like I do, link up, come and join this crew. Hey, I'ma go invest and I'ma watch my money double, take it to another level. With that market hustle, always play it smart. You ain't dealing with a sucker, take it to another level. With that market hustle, I'ma hustle, hustle. 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 With that market hustle, go.